All right, what is going on, guys? Okay, so we have got some kind of new stuff. We got some new toys for our toys. So if you guys saw a little bit ago, we did a video basically on mounting a Starlink Mini in a vehicle and getting really a mobile setup going for it. And so there was a few different things that could be used to make that happen, including like a 3D printed bracket. There was a laptop charger that I was using to power it, 12 volt right out of the cigarette lighter, or the 12 volt power plug, a power port. I don't know what they call it nowadays, but you know, that thing. So fast forward a few months later, I used it, got the Starlink Mini pretty much right when it came out or became available. Used it down at Baja Rally, mobile setup, mobile internet, used it around town for a little bit to wear out that month-long subscription, and thing worked awesome. It was awesome having high-speed internet no matter where. I had no cutouts. Even in some of the dead zones as I travel home on my commute, had no problem with it. So it worked out really well. Well, in my journey of trying to figure out what I was going to use for that, I came across a brand called Stargear. And basically, they make different things for the Starlink Mini and the Starlink devices. And it was about a couple of weeks ago, somebody had reached out and said, hey, we've got some stuff that you might be interested in. Well, spoiler alert, I kind of was already interested in it. I just had gone a different direction with stuff that I had laying around the house. But they said, hey, we'll send this stuff to you. Take a look at it, put some long-term testing on it, see what you think. And all right, let's give it a shot. So with that being said, the first and foremost, the disclaimer, right? So Star sent this stuff over for product review and for testing. They will have not seen this video until it's public and you guys are seeing it. I've already done the unboxing side of it. You can see it here to my left, and the stuff is legit. So let's get into it. I'm going to break it down piece by piece as to what we got and why we got those certain components. So let's take a quick look here. So first and foremost, I think the big thing was the charging. So I had picked up previously a laptop charger that's a power delivery style. So power delivery style meaning that the device that's connected to it can request different voltages from the power supply itself. And some are compatible, you know, it could be 20 volts, some could be 40 volts. There's a number of voltages that can be had from it. It's just depending on the device, right? So in this particular case, 20 volts seems to be the thing we're messing with, right? And with that, it's finding a device that will power it, because you don't necessarily want to power the Starlink Mini straight 12 volt. If you do, you're going to have to run bigger wires. You're going to have to do some stuff to make it so that it basically works as intended. Well, in that video, I used a 12 volt laptop charger, which was nice. It had its 12 volt connection, then it had a little brick, and then it had the wire that went to an adapter that went from USB-C into the 5521 port for the Starlink Mini. Well, Stargear actually has a solution for that, which is a 16 gauge wire. It is the 12 volt power port connector, and then it goes right over to the 5521 connection that's required on the Starlink Mini. And I believe that also goes into like the Starlink, I think it's the Gen 3, the newer ones, but for this view, this review, we're talking about the Starlink Mini setup. And so with this cable, you're able to do, it's a 10-foot long cable. It has the same capabilities. It's got that 20 volt PD in it. So it will power the Starlink Mini, no problem. I mean, that's what it's designed. And it's much more simplified. You've got 2 connections instead of 4 connections on the previous setup. And it's much stealthier. It's easier to run this wire along the frame or along the interior of the car and hide it a little bit better. Or I am going to be looking at doing a kind of like a safari rack on my new setup, and this will run out. It's got really thick insulation. I mean, 16 gauge wire isn't very thick at all, but this is like the equivalent of what I would say is like a 8 gauge, 10 or 8 gauge wire. I mean, this thing is thick. So it's definitely got some protection for the wires that are inside. It's got the sealed tip connector, just like the Starlink stuff comes with. And then you've got that 12 volt plug. So very awesome. I'm looking forward to simplifying the setup with just something like this. So this is one part of it. There was another part of this, and this is more like a mobile setup. If I'm using it in the car, this is going to work really, really good. But I also do some adventure bike riding, and that's where I was like, okay, well, there was another solution. And they said, like, here's some of the stuff that we have. Take a look at our website. What are the things that, you think that are important? And I go, well, okay, so definitely got to do some 12-volt car connection type stuff. But then the next one is, for those of you familiar, both pretty much every Starlink comes with a very, very long wire, which is awesome because, well, you don't know what you're going to be powering, where you're going to be powering it from, and it's good to have that leniency. I believe the stock cable is like 15 meters. I mean, it is a long cable, very thin wire, and it doesn't necessarily work for storage purposes. Well, this is basically the same cable. It is a USB type cable, USB-C on one end. And again, this is offered by Stargear. And they have, and by the way, while I'm going through trying to unravel this too, if you haven't already guessed it, down in the description are going to be the links for these products individually, so you guys can check them out. Or if you're watching the individual video, the link will be in the description. Not only that, but they've also been gracious enough to put up a coupon code for, I believe, 20%. So if you guys get that coupon code, is still available, you want to check the video, get on over there and get yourself a discount on this stuff. But anyway, very cool cable, same PD, power delivery style. So that means is that in here somewhere, it's either on this end or the other end. I'm pretty sure it's in this end on the USB-C tip, is going to have the chip that tells the power bank, hey, I need 20 volts out of you. So power banks like the Anchor, I believe it's like a 737. I'm going to have to get versed on that because there's something coming up for that. But anyway, it will request, if it's a laptop style power bank, it will request the 20 volts from it. So this cable isn't just a standard USB-C to 5521 for the Starlink. This actually has some technology behind it. And like I said, it's going to request the adequate power to be able to power the Starlink Mini consistently. 12 volt power, I'm sure you can get away with it. But if you're running it at more of a native power solution, I believe the standard brick is like 36 volts. And then it pushes that across, 90 feet of wire, it's going to drop a bit. But 45 feet of wire, whatever it is, you guys, if you've seen the Starlink Mini, you know that the wire that it comes with, is super long, but it is super thin. So you got to start with a high voltage on one end so that at the other end you have a decent amount of voltage. There is voltage drop across wires. So 6.5 foot cable. And this is going to go perfectly with what I have planned over here on this side. And so this is their case for it. But before we get into the case, just talk super quick about this. So one of the things with my setup is that I do use it outdoors, and I do have a case currently for it, albeit just it was stuff that I had laying around, and that's what I decided to use. But if you're going to be traveling with your Starlink Mini, it's going to be in a backpack or it's going to be thrown around on the ground, hopefully not thrown around. You're going to need some kind of protection, or even using it in the car. There's going to be two things. One is the reflection that it produces against the windshield if you're using it on the dash. And so when you get the silicone protector, again, link is in the description. When you get the silicone protector for the Starlink Mini, it has the bumpers on it. So it's ruggedized, everything. You still have access to the kickstand and everything. And it's, clean setup, easy, no brainer install. But you also get this sticker sheet to cover the face of the Starlink Mini. And what's nice about that is if you're going to put it up against the windshield, you're not going to get that glare from the white of the Starlink plastic that's on top. So this will help protect that glare part of it. And if you're using this out in the wild and that kind of thing, it makes it a little less, or it makes it more inconspicuous. So you're not going to be able to see it readily. It will blend in, I guess, a little bit more. And then especially if you're using another case. But excited for this because mine has already shown some signs of getting beat up a little bit. So I'm excited to make it look like new again using this stuff, the protector. It's a silicone based protector. It's thick. It's probably going to be about a 4 to 5 millimeter thick, tough. So that will be nice. And then again, with the reflective coating, I don't know, maybe I'll put some Chasing Waypoints stickers on this so it looks even more pro. But this is awesome. This was much needed. I think, especially if you're going to be traveling and throwing the Starlink around a little bit. So I'll move this off to another side. Let's just put it underneath here because we're going to talk about the part that I should have really, really gotten when I did my first setup, and that is the actual hard case. So this is the Starlink or Stargear case for the Starlink Mini, and this thing is awesome. It's, first of all, it is definitely a hard shell. Side note, I'm completely disappointed that my dogs didn't just go off. Great. Okay, so the cool part about this is it's got that camo color going, so it blends in. You do have, you got the Starlink or Stargear logo on it, which is nice. Honestly, I like when brands are very inconspicuous about their branding. They don't feel the need to make it in neon flashing and all of that kind of stuff. I think this is really cool. So hard shell case, which is awesome. So it's got its attachment points, a couple of different things. You've got these loops on the side of it to be able to strap it down. You've got the D-rings over here. There is a shoulder strap inside. Let's get into the inside part of this. First, you're going to see you've got this net up here, so you can carry probably the standard wire, carry maybe some paperwork, documentation, I don't know, something like that. But you've got the shoulder strap for this thing. And then you've got the tie downs. So this, you can, with a quick, push buckle, you can strap this down. This is actually going to go really well on the back of my bike. I have a rack there where I can put like roto packs, and I can put some different stuff. This will be cool to tie it down to the top of it. And the thing that I like, and what makes it so I don't necessarily have to worry about running power to it, is you have the straps to hold this down, but then down in the bottom here, you've got a specific place to put 2 power banks in it and be able to power it while you're running. So between this and their little short 6.5-foot cable, I could basically run the Starlink Mini right out of this. And it's not going to block the signal. It doesn't have any kind of metal in it that's going to affect the signal strength or anything like that. So you could literally run this, turn it on, power it on, and then just literally strap it to the back of the bike. Or you could literally carry it in the car if you wanted to and have it going, or just simply deploy this and throw it out, on the table or whatever it is, and still have it running. So I think it's pretty awesome. Pass-through port, so you could run it in, especially if you're running a passive type power bank where you can charge it and you can also use it at the same time. Something like that, maybe. But honestly, I mean, if you put 2 power banks in there, you can get 4 hours out of each one. You get 8 hours of internet just from this box, and it's literally the same size. It's just obviously it's thicker than the Starlink Mini. I think it's a pretty good setup. So I'm excited to get into this. What I like the most about all of this is that I tend to pack in a modular type way, where I know that if I grab the first 2 bins in the trailer, that's everything I need to go do a rally. Basically, it's got the extension cords, it's got the tablecloths, it's got the pens, it's got everything I need to go do this. And the cool part about this is that this will fit in one of those totes. But not only that, is that I know everything in here is enough to get me internet, well, basically anywhere. So I'm excited about it. I'm going to put this stuff on and start assembling it. It's like Christmas morning, right? Starting to unwrap things and put things together. And so I'm looking forward to getting that thing set up. But very awesome. Greatly appreciated that Stargear sent this over for us to review and bring some knowledge to you guys. But if you're interested in picking any of this stuff up, remember the links are going to be in the description. There is a 20% off coupon in there for you as well, as subscribers and obviously as helping these guys out. So very much appreciated if you guys click those links and show them, hey, what do you guys think? Like if you have the Starlink Mini or considering getting it, did Starlink miss the boat? Should they be the ones offering this? Because Stargear kind of beat them to the punch. But anyway, with that being said, we're going to get into the garage. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's any other products or something that you guys have questions about or questions about this, and we'll be happy to answer them in the description down below. And if you are listening to this on Spotify or any others, don't worry. The links are still in the description for you guys to check them out. So with that being said, Matt here. Remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.